Hello, I'm John McAllister with the John McAllister Sports Report. And today I'm going into the section around the state and doing a excellent interview with quarterback, junior quarterback from Columbus Bishop DeSales High School, R.J. Day. RJ is beginning his he'll begin his third year at DeSales as a quarterback, set some records last year as a sophomore, but more importantly, he's just an outstanding young man. He'll be a college quarterback, don't know what level yet, but again, he's an outstanding young man. So we're going to talk to him about different things about quarterbacking, different things about philosophy on life, and learn a lot about him. As I told him, this isn't a Ohio State interview. This is not a head football coach Ryan Day interview. This is a RJ interview. I'm excited for him. Again, the interview, he's first class. So if you sit back and listen to my video podcast with RJ Day from DeSales High School. Okay, as I said earlier today, my intro, my guest, and I'm really excited, is RJ Day from Columbus Bishop DeSales. And I guess the biggest thing I'm excited about is to see if you are as classy on here as you are when we talk on texting and stuff, because you do a good job. You do a good job. And I'm really, for my 2 cents, I'm really impressed with that. Okay.
My mother would give me a have a couple words for me if I wasn't. So
Okay, well, that's good. And I'm sure in every family, I know who runs the show, right?
absolutely.
That's really good. Okay, let's see. Let's talk. First of all, we're not going to talk Ohio State football. Not going to talk Coach Day football. We're going to talk about you, okay?
Sounds good.
You. And maybe a couple questions but I want to know you. What made you decide to be a football player?
Really just looking at, not to bring him up, but looking at my dad's players when I was younger and just using them as role models. I don't have a brother, so those guys kind of felt like older role models as like a brother kind of like. So I always grew up wanting to be like them. So guys like JT Barrett, Dwayne Haskins, and Justin Fields, those guys kind of like they shaped a lot of like my aspirations and what I wanted to be when I was older. So seeing them and like them outside of football and them on the field, just being around them kind of like just made me want to have a deep down desire to be like them and just to play football.
Well, you have in Columbus some very good role models.
Yeah,
You know
absolutely.
that? And it's what you see is what you get. And I'm so happy for that. And I know a lot of the Ohio kids, a lot of them, Sawyer and all those guys, but that's really good. So, what do you think are the keys right now to the success that you've had? Okay, you're going to be a junior. You've set some school records and things like that, and you've really improved. What are some of the keys to that? What's helped you attain those?
Well, if you ask me, I haven't done anything to be successful yet. This is just the beginning for me, and I'm still starting to figure out the ropes and figuring out what I need to do to be more successful. But getting me up to this point, I feel like the main things for me that I've leaned on is just consistency in preparation. Like I have a routine that I do every single week, regardless of the opponent. And then being on the same page with the guys up front and the guys on the outside, just being a consistent leader for these guys and knowing that coming into the week, they can rely on me to have a good plan and be the good leader for the offense and the team as well. It it helps me bring out the best in my teammates. And then again, when my teammates are at their best, I'm also at my best. So it's kind of just being a leader and being consistent for the guys.
I was a head football coach years and years and years ago, and I never let my quarterback play defense. And I'd always tell him during the game, I said, now remember, there are only two people that are going to get in trouble if things don't go well, me and you.
Me and Coach Higgins are very tight because of those kind of situations.
Yeah, I mean, I said, there are only going to be two in the whole place. Okay, tell me, you talked about that success a little bit. I meant, my question was your success so far. I shouldn't have said successful. You've had some success so far. I mean, your team's playing well. You're a good leader, so I'm going to give you a little bit of credit.
I appreciate it.
Let's jump. You play baseball?
I didn't. I played when I was little, and then I played basketball all the way up until last year. But with the whole when 7-on-7 got passed in Ohio, we kind of made the jump to go play with the travel team, which continues year round.
Okay, that's what you're on the travel team now.
Yep.
Okay, tell me about that. That's not a question I had prepared. What about the travel 7-on-7 benefits?
So I play with two teams. I play with one team from Ohio that we started this year. It's called the Ohio 7-on-7 Collective, and then I play with a team based out of South Florida in SFE. And so like we're gonna head to Vegas in 2 weeks for a big tournament there, so that'll be good. It's kind of like AAU basketball on steroids,
Right.
because there's no local tournaments. Everything is broad. So if like for all the basketball players that don't really understand 7-on-7, I kind of explain it like it's kind of like the biggest AAU circuit, but that's the only circuit there is, because there's no small 7-on-7, because it's still a new process that's kind of been introduced to the high school kids.
Okay. And it's new in Ohio, I know. Obviously, it's only been a couple of years. And I think what's also going to help that is you're going to be able to play 7-on-7s in May, local. I mean, your high school team and things like that.
Yep.
And so that's really good. You look like a baseball player. Now, you don't run track, do you?
I do. I run track.
Okay, good. I thought you didn't. Well, tell me about track, because I think it's so important.
Track's big for me because I kind of hang my hat on being a guy who can move too, so a dual threat. So staying in the spring, staying in shape, and working on my twitch and explosion really helps for going into the summer.
Okay, that's really good. What do you run in track?
I run the 1 and the 2, and then I used to do the long jump, but we kind of just that kind of fizzled out because I did it all the way up until last year. But I'm just going to focus on the sprints.
Yeah, you don't run anchor, do you? On the 4x1?
4x1, they had me do it a couple of times. Me and our running back switched out.
Okay. Well, see, he didn't think you'd get these kind of questions. What leg do you run in the 4x1?
I usually run the second or fourth, so I always run the straightaways.
You're not third?
I'm not.
That's the slow guy. That's the guy who doesn't run very fast.
That's what I yeah, I mean, hopefully they don't put me in third leg this year, but hopefully not.
Okay. Tell me, we talked about other sports now, which is good. What do you think's important that guys play more than one sport?
I think it's very beneficial, especially for younger kids. Like in high school, you can kind of specialize a little bit more because you have the ability to do that with year-round 7-on-7 now. But when you're younger, the hand-eye coordination, the conditioning, the just building athleticism, that's really important, because then it lays a foundation for your athletic ability, which you can build on as you continue to train as you get older. So I feel as much sports you can play as a younger kid, especially, that helps, because it builds a platform for these kids to put their work ethic into, and so on and so forth.
Good. Now, okay. Obviously your dad and your mom, I would think. Is there anybody else that has been a big influence so far in your life?
Yeah, there's been plenty of people. I would say my grandpa is probably the next in line. He's a Hall of Fame basketball coach, if believe it or not. He coached for 55 years. He's the best. Like me and him were buddies. I used to sit on his bench when I was a little kid. So actually, I used to think my sport was going to be basketball. Well, I only grew to be 6'1", and my dad put a football in my hands ever since then. So that's kind of how that transpired. But my grandpa, for sure, I have a really good relationship with my grandfather.
It's huge. It's huge. Impressed. I told you, I've always been impressed communicating with you. Okay. There's, I have posters in my office. When I was a football coach, I had posters and slogans. What are words that you live by? Is there any certain little phrase or cliche or anything that you live by? You see what I'm
Fight,
saying?
fight.
Fight.
Fight for everything that you believe in. Fight for wake up every day and fight to be the best version of yourself. And I'm stealing this from my dad. He grew me on these morals, but you wake up every morning and you fight to be the best version of yourself. Every
Yeah.
time you're on the field, you're fighting to be the best player that you can be, the best teammate you can be. Every time
Best
you're in the
student you
classroom,
can be.
yeah. And when you're in the classroom, you're fighting to be the best student you can be. So in all aspects of life, you're fighting because nothing's ever given to you.
Okay, great. School wise, I'm sure the library is not a foreign country to you, right? I
No,
mean,
definitely not.
okay, what do you major? What are you going to major in eventually?
So me and my mother actually have to talk about this because my dad's obviously involved with the sports.
Right.
My mom likes to hang her hat on being more academic. Like that's her role with me, like more academics. So she's very on me about that, which I'm very grateful for because she holds me accountable. But me and her are going to have this conversation this summer. So to be honest with you right now, I'm not really quite sure, but I will
Okay.
have that answer pretty soon.
What class do you sprint to get to besides? Don't tell me phys ed now. What class do you really want to get to? What
Um,
subject?
Probably math or English. I really like just like I like math because it's a process. Like
Yeah.
that kind of sounds kind of like a quarterback answer, but it's a process. So it
Yeah.
kind of comes pretty easy to me sometimes because if you put it like you would a play, you're like, okay, it's a different equation, but it's the same process to get the answer. Just like going through a progression might
Yeah.
be for a different play, but it's the same process to get your read. If that makes sense. So
Yeah. I taught English, by the way, for 31 years. If I don't cheat to get through math in high school, I'd be in trouble. Just so you know, math, math is not one of my loves. That's really neat. Okay, something totally different now. If you could hang out with somebody for 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, just all day, who would it be and why?
dead
If
or
you could,
alive,
who?
dead or alive.
Oh, any.
I would want to say I'd want to have a proper goodbye to Dwayne. I didn't really get to say goodbye to Dwayne before he passed, so I would say Dwayne Haskins just to put that to rest because that still hangs with me a little bit.
Now, what made him so special to you?
So when I was little and I was still coming up in football, he would pick me up on Friday nights and he would say, "Hey, pick a high school football game. We're gonna go watch it." And these were obviously on the bye weekends, not the nights before games, but on a bye weekend or like if the high school season started before college season. So on those weekends, he would say, "Hey, pick out a game. We're gonna go watch it, and then I'll have you home right after the game." And that's really where I fell in love with the game. And he was a really big role model for me because he was such a genuine human being. All the guys loved him in the locker room. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about
Okay,
Dwayne. Uh,
super. That's really good. Okay, one more. Okay, I give you about three silly questions. Here's one of them. What's one thing that nobody knows about you until now?
What's one thing that nobody knows about me until now?
You're afraid of snakes. I don't.
I'd probably say that I've moved 12 times in my life. I usually use that one a good amount. So I've moved.
12 times.
Yes, I've moved
Wow.
quite a bit.
Yeah. I have so much respect for wives of football coaches. Obviously,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Joe Schmo doesn't know. They may think they do, but they don't know
Yeah.
how great, how important wives are.
My
I
mother
mean,
is the foundation of our family, and we always give her that credit because that credit's due. She held us together in those years where we were kind of bouncing around from house to house, state to state. So
I appreciate that. Okay, early, early in your career, RJ, I call them scrapbook moments. Is there a play or a game or a play usually that you'll talk about with your buddies when you were younger? Now, you don't have, it may not be, but is there a play you said, oh man, and you get with your friends, and is there a play like that?
There's no play, but there's definitely a game. Beating our rivals, Bishop Watterson, my freshman year when they were 9-0, ranked number 1 in the state, is probably going to be something that I remember for the rest of my life because that was really cool.
That's really good. Watterson. That's quite a competition.
Yeah.
And it's gotten better and better. It went down for a little bit. Now it's better and better, I think. Okay. Let's don't talk position. Let's talk football player. And I think you've probably already alluded to it. What's the biggest strength you think you have as a football player?
Probably the mental aspect, like the preparation and just having a step up on people like that. Just, being a coach's kid, being around football all the time. That definitely is probably like my most advanced feature of my game. So yeah, if I would have to pinpoint one thing, it would definitely be like the mental aspect.
What do you have to work on as an overall player?
You got to work on everything as a player, but if I would have to pinpoint one specific thing that I
Right.
need to improve on, it would probably be arm strength. But I will say I've been working with my QB trainer, and this offseason has been the most progress that I've made in my entire life. The last 2 months have been like absolutely like the rates in which my arm has improved have been something I didn't even think I was able to do. And my QB trainer, Coach Mandler, he's done an unbelievable job.
Okay. When you say arm strength, because I'm a big believer in core muscles, back. And when I told Joey, or I guess it's Joe Burrow, I told Joe when I saw him play in high school, I said, just get into the cores, get in the back and core muscles. Does that go up into arms, I guess, or not?
So going
I'm
into
going to learn something here.
Okay. So going into training with Brad, I was a very linear thrower, which means that I was throwing with all of my arm, trying to use all of my upper body. But I have a very muscular lower half. So when he trained with me, he was like, I didn't realize how thick of a human you were. And I was like, yeah, he's like, we can tap into that by making you a little bit more rotational, which means that we can get your legs and your hips and your core more involved. So just really working with him and staying back more and using my core to get through my throws it takes all the pressure off my arm and the ball is jumping off.
Oh my. The other thing, gosh, I wish someday you and I will just talk about not being recorded because people don't want to hear this stuff all. I'm going to cut some of this out. But I would tell you that was one of the things. See, I think the quarterback coming from Bell Fountain, I think he has really got a chance.
Oh, yeah.
He really developed his core. And I saw him play, and he took and he has developed his core so much that he's going to be really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. I throw with him like twice a week. And when you talk to the kid, like we'll go over to his apartment after, and he's just a genuine human being. Like that's probably the most impressive part. Like he's just a genuine human.
That's what'll make him successful. I like him. I've done podcasts, and he won't do one with me now, but I'm doing anyway. Okay, this is in general here. Film study. What do you think of film study for high school players?
Oh, it's super important, and as you get older, the more important it becomes. There's definitely an art to watching film. Like you can't just turn on turn on Huddle and be like, oh, I'm learning football. No, you have to have a process, and you need to have a plan going into it.
I hope players keep going into it. When Coach Trussell and I were joking once, and maybe your dad, we had 16 millimeter videos at the old big movie projector, and it's crazy, but it's changed an awful lot for you guys. Okay. Now, another silly question. Okay. What talent would you like to have you don't have and you'll never get?
Probably the ability to sing. I cannot sing for my life.
You can't sing. You look like a singer, old man.
I mean, I try. I definitely try in the car with the music on, but it doesn't sound very pretty.
Okay. Just a few more questions. Talk quarterbacks now. Quarterbacks. What are your strengths as a quarterback?
Probably my ability to just extend plays behind the line of scrimmage.
Oh my! Good. You got that right. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead. What's the next one?
So when we had some issues this year in terms of timing concepts. So
Right.
whenever I would feel like the pressure was coming towards me and the timing just wasn't quite right, I would just extend the play behind the line and let my guys find the open hole. Um, Besides that, I would probably say my ability to help out with the game plan week in and week out with the coaches and be on the
Okay.
same level of understanding as them.
What do you have to work on? Everything, I'm sure, but what do
Yeah,
you?
most definitely everything. But more specifically, probably next play mentality. Sometimes if a bad play happens,
Right.
I will dwell on it, but that's something I have been improving on. But next play mentality is so important, especially at quarterback, because you got to go lead those guys regardless of what happens
You,
last play.
you got to get back on the horse, man. You got to get back on the horse. Okay. Here's what I'll tell you. I looked at your film, your 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 junior film or your sophomore film this morning. You have an amazing ability. I call it escape, make the escape throw. Be running and scrambling and still see somebody downfield make the play. Okay. And the other thing is you are always looking downfield. It's so hard for high school quarterbacks, and you probably know this, RJ. They they just lock on one guy. But you got to be able to know where the other guy is. I mean, if that's shut down, then you got to go some. But you do a really good job at that. You do a really good job, and I think the what I like too when I first started coaching and working with quarterbacks sometimes and stuff. I thought everybody's got that perfect throw, man. You got to do this. Well, I used to think that, and then I got some coach told me I forget who it was. He said, "John, how many times do they do that in a game?
Yeah,
How many times you make that? But you do, but not very often.
yeah,
What I liked about you, and you've changed, I like the rotational method because if sometimes when I watch you, you have it. Now you don't always use it because you don't have to, because you can throw off your back foot, little things. But when you want to step and put some RPMs on it, you do a good job, RJ. You do a good job.
I
You got that little jab step at the beginning, like a hitting the baseball. You do all that stuff, but it's really good. I would keep working on my true speed, my sprinter speed. And
yep.
you're not gonna run a 4.4 or anything, but I mean I don't think. But keep working on that speed. And a lot of things you told me I didn't know about you, but I'm really for what it means, I'm gonna cut this out too. I'm really impressed with a lot of the things. Okay, let's go just a couple more questions. Uh, okay. RJ, if energy is huge, energy is huge to success. What kind of energy do you bring to your team this fall?
Consistency. Like I just a consistent positive effort every single day, not overly positive one day, merely positive another day. It's got to be the same amount of positivity every single day, because then the guys can start to build on that and they don't have to wonder what I'm going to bring or like what's RJ going to be like today or how's he going to
Oh
react to
my,
this.
that's really good. Consistency, obviously. Be consistent. Be consistent. That's really good. Okay, best quality as a person. I come to recruit you, okay? And what am I going to see as a person? I don't care about, I know all about the other things. And your dad obviously goes through this in recruiting. What do you know about the person? What's your strength as a person?
I'm not going to sit here and like beam on one of my qualities, but what I will say is what you see is what you get. I hang my hat on being a genuine person. I don't want to be somebody that says one thing on camera or to somebody and then turn my back and say something else to somebody else. So I don't know, to be honest with you, I don't know what my best quality is, but what you see is what you get.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a good quality, man. You're real. You're wood. And that's really good. Okay. Let's stop there. I was going to ask you what. Let's tell me about recruiting a little bit. Just not so much you because it's early. I know you have some Mac offers out there and things like that, and I don't really appreciate offers. They don't mean anything. That means they know you. You
Yeah.
know that. You know more
Yeah.
about this game than a lot, but they're offers. They know about you. Okay, tell me about camps. Why are camps important?
Camps are important because it gives the coach who can't really come to your games. I mean, they can, but they have only a certain amount of games and they're going to
Yeah,
spend those on their commits already. So going to camps really allows your ability to one, get in front of coaches that might not be able to see you unless they're coming to the school to see you throw or see you work out. You're going to see the campuses. You're going to see what you may not or what you may like about a school. And that's
right.
just a school camp. But like a camp like an Elite 11 allows you to compete and be with another, like around guys your age that are also the best of the best. So it brings
Right.
out the best in you, the best in them, and you can showcase your talents.
I think it's so important in college camps. Now, of course, it's really dwindled down. I mean, 1 day camps, it's just a recruiting tool. But when I go to the camps, I don't really look at techniques. I like to see what the person's like, what the competitor's like, what you're like. I mean, throwing, what kind of competition you getting guys upset at guys. I like all those things because it's so important. You know that.
Yeah, most definitely.
Well, RJ, I really appreciate. We better tell everybody. Yes, you are Ryan Day's son. Yeah,
I
so everybody knows that. I'm sure they do. But I really appreciate you being on my podcast. Excited for you. Excited for Coach Wiggins at DeSales because he's a heck of a coach. Good.
absolutely.
He worries too much, but he's a good coach. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. If you ever need anything, let me know.